Thank you. And also, here I have Fred. He's been my videographer for 10 years. So he's great. Just pretend he's not here. Okay? He videotapes everything and makes things happen. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. To tell you a little bit about myself, for those that don't know about me, I'm a single mother also of a 12-year-old, young, going on 21 girl. I realized the impact we have on our kids when my daughter's 12 telling me, Mommy, I deserve to be happy. And going to my daddy's on weekends with his new wife, the energy just bothers me. Because his new wife is judgmental and she's not positive about life. So I need to have a conversation with my father and tell him he's gonna have to make a choice. If he wants to spend time with me, it'll have to be only limited with his new wife, maybe holidays. But other than that, it'll have to be just him and I because his energy is beautiful and she just ruins the energy. I was like, okay, I don't know if this is good or bad, but and basically I've never taught her this. She's always heard me teaching women and telling women, you know what, you deserve to be happy. You are in control of your own happiness. I've been through a lot in life, and that's why I got into the empowerment of women business, because I've been through so much tragedy. I realized that it's not worth it to live for somebody else. At the end of the day, nobody gives a dang. Really, we worry so much about what people think. Everybody's caught up in their own lives. Okay, and at the end of the day, everybody's living for everybody else, and nobody's happy. And then when you're not happy as a person, you expect other people to to do things, then you start becoming judgmental. Anytime you're being judgmental, ladies, it's because you're not happy, period. Because if you're truly happy with yourself, there is absolutely no reason to judge others. Why would you if you're happy? It's kind of, it doesn't coexist. So and I'll be honest, there's been 2 times in my life where I caught myself judging, and I realized I had to put myself on check and say, why am I judging this other woman? That's not who I am. And those 2 times, or one when I was married, but I was unhappy, and I saw a happy married couple, I said, they're fake. I was like, okay, that's not me, because I've never been like that. I said, what's going on? And I realized that I was unhappy in my marriage, therefore it was hard for me to see that, and that's when I knew I had to get out. And the second time was after my pregnancy, after I had my daughter, and I felt very heavy, and I saw this girl with a beautiful body. I was like, whatever, you know? Look at her like, who does she think she is? You know, kind of like, she was just walking, you know, poor girl. And I thought, I'm not like that. Why am I judging? Well, because I felt ugly about myself. I felt overweight. I'd had like 30 pounds on from having my daughter, and now I wasn't feeling up to par. And I said, well, that means I need to get to it. And if I need to feel good about myself, I need to lose that weight. And as soon as I did, never again did I see another woman that way. Okay, so anytime that you judge another woman, take a step back and say, where's this coming from? And then that's why I always tell women, I say, look, at the end of the day, unless you're perfect, which doesn't exist, you have no right to judge anybody. Okay, so that's my philosophy is, as soon as we look inwards, that's what we don't want to do. That's where it gets scary, but that's the first place what we need to do. And I can guarantee you that if you start living for yourself and not judge others, you will be happy, and that's where the confidence comes from. We're not giving a dang at the end of the day what others really think, and people will respect you for that. And what I mean by that is not being selfish. It just means that everybody can appreciate a confident person because you're not trying to please others. Because when you're trying to please others, you're being fake, period. You're not being real. And people don't like fake people. And that's why when you meet people who are authentic, you're like, wow, I love that energy. Because they're really just who they are. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of negotiation skills today, but at the foundation, in the Foundation for Women, which you will realize here, is that it's very different from any negotiation course you've taken or you will take in the future, and let me tell you why. I taught the Caris negotiation course for about 7 years. Caris is the leading negotiation company in the world for corporate negotiations. And I was brought in by Dr. Caris, who's an alumni of USC. He created this course and this program 40 years ago. And he did a lot of research international about negotiation and created his program. It's been very successful. And I was the only Latin America negotiation strategist and trainer in 22 countries, in Latin America, in the world. So the reason why is because they're a Jewish family, it's a private business, and they're very protective of their content. They don't trust people to take what he has created and run with it because they think they're going to start their own, you know, like with the same content. He's very supportive of me because everything I use is opposite of his content because their content is traditional, tactical, cutthroat negotiation material, and it is. It's ugly. What I mean by ugly, it's ugly to us women.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's based on conniving, manipulating, and cutthroat tactics. Okay, so I was very effective, but only because when I taught these courses, I always gave disclaimers. I said, look it, if you're going to use this tactic, all I'm saying is, I hope you can sleep at night. And Dr. Karas would be like, you're not supposed to say that. You know, but I couldn't, in my right and in my own consciousness, teach that tactic without telling them. I'm teaching it to you so you can be aware of what's being used in the marketplace, and you can defend yourself from it. I'm not teaching it to you to go and use it. That was my philosophy. I'm more about you need to know the truth. But whether you use it or not is up to you. He wanted me to teach it, and the other trainers taught it as this is what you do to get the upper hand, right? Because that's what negotiation is all about, is getting the upper hand in the man's world. So I did it my way, and it was very effective in the sense that the women really liked it, but at the same time, they weren't using the skills. So when I did my 6-month follow-up with these women, I would call them all over the world. We're talking 22 countries, so this is not just American women, Latina women, Asian, it was all over the world. I would do a 6-month follow-up, and I started doing my own research because I started wanting to find out, hey, I was traveling the world by myself, going into these corporations. I always have bodyguards, which was great, because they're responsible if anything happens to me, like in Argentina or Bolivia or something. But I would call these women, and I say, you know, what has worked for you of what I taught you? And they said, oh, we're not using any of the skills. Okay, and I was like, and you know, they were paying, the company was paying $1,200, $1,300 for them to go through this 2-day training. And I said, why not? They said, well, because it's just not who I am. And I said, well, what do you mean? And I taught them and I didn't use any of them because I don't believe in them. And that is basically where it's set up, like where you find out their weaknesses. So that way you can get them when they're weak and when they're down. I'm serious. That's, you know, or like find out, don't tell them the truth, or don't let them know too much information because they'll use that against you. That's a competitive nature of negotiation. Okay, so women have always stayed away from it, and to me it's like, tell me your weaknesses so I can help you build on them. That's from a female perspective, and from my perspective, and from a lot of women's perspective. Okay, so what was happening is that women just didn't like to negotiate because they felt that's what it was about. When I realized this, and being in the women empowerment business, knowing the negotiation that worked and didn't work, I realized, you know what, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot teach this knowing the need for women and no one's doing anything about it. There was some Harvard research on it. The research is very new, which is a lot of the research that I've used, but it's such cutting edge and new information that no program has been developed. The professors that did this research only have written a few books and have it as academia, which is great, but they haven't brought it to really brought it to mainstream, like in a course like this. Okay, they usually just teach it in universities. So I decided to put my women empowerment background and negotiation training and experience together and develop this women negotiation course. And what I have realized is that for women, we are integrated. We are all interrelated. We're all one, meaning that men, and you're going to learn a lot about men. It's going to help you in your marriages and boyfriends, because let me tell you, we want to believe that men are the same. They're different. They're wired different, ladies. We have to accept that and be okay with it. They will never be what we want them to be. They will never listen the way we want them to listen. They will never be as emotional as we want them to be, and caring and loving, because you know what? They cannot be that way. Their brain is not wired that way, and gender intelligence has shown that over and over, and it's new cutting edge knowledge. Their wiring, they don't have as much endorphins as we do in our brains, and endorphins is a feeling of warmth, and so they cannot physically possibly be like us. Okay? And God, so many boyfriends I left, you know? And when I was younger, I just, if you really loved me, you would do this, you know? But they know how to love in their own way, you know, whatever. But meaning that but you know what? They bring the strength, the protection, and they make those tough decisions sometimes that for us, sometimes we're emotional. Emotions are not logical, period. But you know what? Emotions make this world go round. It is our warmth as women that makes this world what it is. Because logic is great, But logic is not going to raise children in a nurturing, loving way. It'll make good decisions. At the end of the day, we are the most powerful species, and the men will tell you this. At least, you know, the men that are willing to be open. They usually won't tell us because they don't want us to know how powerful we are as women. But the men that I've interviewed and sat down with know we have so much power as women if we only knew how to use it. Okay? But we tend to use it wrong many times by sexually using it in a sexual way. It doesn't have to be that way. We need to understand it's okay to be vulnerable when the right time. It's okay to be warm in the right way. It's okay. So it's all strategy. It's like using your strengths strategically and knowing what the men's strengths are and their weaknesses, not so you can exploit them, so that you can actually know how to make them feel safe. Because for men, it's all about men need to feel that they can take care of the world and themselves and their women and their families. It's all about waiting for them. They're hunters. It goes down back to the hunting and gathering. Really, they're hunters. They're out to win. And let me tell you, they will sit there. They will compete with another guy. They will put him down. They will do whatever, and then they'll go have a beer. Okay, and it's normal. Oh, you do that with the women. You get catty, forget it. I'll never talk to you again for the rest of my life. It's over. I don't trust you. It's just completely different. Now, negotiation was created. It's a man's game. The way it's been done for so many years, it's a man's game. Therefore, the tactics that we learn in traditional negotiation are male tactics. And they go so against us as women, our own nurturance and who we are. The women who have moved up, the women that I have worked with at high corporate level companies who have moved up, have become so aggressive. Yes, they have succeeded, but you know what, I'll tell you right now, I've never met one woman who has become aggressive and has succeeded who's happy. Not one. They have sacrificed part of who they are to reach that level because they feel they don't have a choice. And honestly, they haven't had a choice. No one's taught them they had a choice. There's only been one, there's more and more now coming along, but there's one woman that I have seen that she is just so amazing at her high. She's the vice president of global sales for a company, and everybody loves her, meaning that she's adored by everybody. She walks in and she'll be so sweet to the women and to everybody, but let me tell you, they don't mess with her. Because she knows when to say, don't even think you can go there with me. She will tell the men straight up. But she's also warm and loving, and you need to be that way as a woman. So but she's only one person, you know, meaning that there's not too many. So what you're going to learn today is how to use your own strengths to your advantage so it can help you, and how different men and women are, and how to be able to ask for what you want without feeling that you don't have the confidence to do that, okay? So what we're going to go through today, and you have your works so you can follow along. This is just kind of the agenda. We're going to learn at first the gender differences in negotiation, impression management, which is what you're going to practice for the rest of your life. Learning how to ask effectively. Then we're going to have a break. Come back. You're going to do a negotiation role play. Most of what you're going to do today, I would say about 60% is hands-on. So you only hear me talk probably total of like 90 minutes or 2 hours maximum out of the whole 7 hours, because the rest of you are going to be doing exercises. We're going to be videotape negotiating, a small piece, and then we're going to watch the videotape, and each of you are going to watch yourselves. Okay? We usually do everything. What I've taken is my 3-day course and taken bits and pieces and condensed it to smaller pieces to do a 1-day course. When it's a 3-day course, we do like a full-on negotiation, opening, closing, videotaping, watching before and after the first day and the third day to see the difference. Huge difference. The first day the women are like, da-da-da. The third day they're like, oh, I don't think so. Totally different. So it's really fabulous. The different negotiating styles, you're going to determine which negotiation strategy you want to use depending on who you're negotiating with and what your objective is. The different tactics that you can use, and also what to watch out for and how to protect yourself, and the different phases of negotiation. Okay, so this is the framework that the Women Institute of Negotiation uses, and this is a 3-day framework that we use just so you get an overview. You will get bits and pieces of this 3-day on this 1 day today. You will learn different emotional leverage, the negotiation tactics. You will learn relationship management strategies. So you'll get bits and pieces of all these different, but I wanted to show you that so you know what the whole picture looks, because there is 3 different kinds of negotiations. Internal negotiations, they're negotiations with people that you know. We call internal meaning in-house, in your company. You need to keep that relationship with them, okay? External negotiation are usually one-time negotiations that you don't really care. You just want to get the best deal because you don't, like buying a car or something like that. Doesn't really matter. I don't need to be best friends with the salesperson. Salary negotiation is when you really just negotiate for yourself 100%, and that's the most difficult for women. So those are the 3 different types of negotiations. Okay, so let's start with the gender differences in negotiation. And I'll be straight up with you, ladies. As women, we're pretty much screwed. When it comes to, what I mean by that is that there is a backlash. It's a double-edged sword, and what I mean by that is that we go into the workforce, we believe that we need to ask for what we want, we ask for what we want, and then we don't get it because people don't like us, because we're too aggressive. It's like, wait a minute, you tell me to be assertive and aggressive, and I do it, and now you don't want to give me what I want, and let me tell you, we all do it. Because even when I see a woman who's too hard and not that soft, I don't even like it. And I'm in the business of empowering women. But if I don't see that soft side, it's like, I can't trust you. I just can't trust, like there's something there, it's just, you're too hard. And with men, it's like, oh, that's just a man. So it's innate for us, and that's something that I always have to catch myself, but I think we value that warmth in women, and that's what makes us so special and different. Okay, but it's how to use it. That's what you're gonna learn the difference. In negotiation, the differences here is that women were wired to be more relationship oriented. As human beings, we have human needs, meaning that we will die without them. Okay, and they're different from women and men. For women, we lead with our need for connection with other people. We need to connect with people to feel good. It's a human need. And actually, all human beings need it, men and women, but women are wired to need it more. And research has proven that, and they did it in Europe when they have orphan babies in an orphanage, and they actually left them without any human touch for a certain amount of time. They died. They died with no physical ailments to them, because as human beings, we need that love and connection. And as women, we lead with that. That is our greatest need. So we will sacrifice everything in order to keep that relationship, even in negotiation, because we don't separate. We're all interrelated, and we don't really know this. We just know that I don't want to make them mad. I don't want conflict. With men are men are task oriented. Just give me the task and I'll finish it. No emotions, no anything. We are wired as women multi. We have children, we have jobs, we can do so much. I don't know if you notice, men like to stick to one thing and they're focused, and it's like, don't ask them to do 3 or 4 because they can't handle it. And it's like, what do you mean? I bathe the children, I cook dinner, I'm conducting a conference call all at the same time, and you can't do it? And then we think, you just don't want to do it. No, look, ladies, they can't. They can't manage, their mind does not work that way. Okay, so this is one argument that you don't waste your time, because they really can't, they don't have the competence. I mean, some can learn the skill, but it's much more difficult than for us women. So they're very task-oriented, and that's the way they function. Remember, if you can remember that women come from the need to love and connect, everything else falls in place. Because then that means we're very collaborative. Of course we're gonna go for collaboration. That comes with love and connection. That comes with the need to feel connected to others. For men, remember, hunter and gatherer. They're hunters. They have to compete against the next guy to get food for their families. They're wired to function that way. So everything for them is a competition. Everything. So when a woman addresses them aggressively, they see her as competition. And men don't like to see women as competition. Because remember, we're the nurturing side. We're actually their sanity as women. So when they see that, they'll deal with it. They hate it. Men have told me, I hate women with the male body organs. They hate it because it takes everything away from being a female. Even Donald Trump just fired his, the woman that was on The Apprentice with him.
Really?
Yeah, what's her name? That Anglo, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That she was savvy and she was awesome. He fired her because he said, you know what, if I wanted a man, I would have hired a man. Because she took 3 weeks off to have her child and came back. And so he didn't respect that. So it's like, you can't win. Wait a minute, that's what she thought he wanted. He came back and he said, forget it. I'll just hire a man if that's what I want. Yeah, so I was like, okay, so, but the fact is that men are competitive, women are collaborative. In negotiation, because we have seen negotiation as something that's so competitive, we don't see opportunities as negotiations. Now, everything is a negotiation. Ladies, every time you're trying to persuade somebody, even if it's somebody to go to watch a movie you want to watch, you're negotiating. Okay? If you're trying to say, let's go eat Italian instead of Chinese, you're negotiating. Because you're trying to change the perception or the thinking of someone else. Anytime you're trying to influence someone in some way, you are negotiating because you're trying to change behavior. And that is a negotiation. Okay, so when people say, you might be negotiating, in everything you do, and you take different roles. Sometimes you're selling. What I mean by selling, you're selling ideas, you're selling opinions, you're selling perceptions, or you're buying. Somebody's trying to sell you an idea, and you have to decide whether you're going to accept it or not. So it's very simple as far as buying and selling. It could be anything else, and that's why negotiation, people think like you're bartering. It's about ideas. It's about, even if you're going to buy the fact that someone's going to influence you. Sometimes I have people who I know are trying to influence me, and I like them, so I'm going to let them. But I'm in control. That's the beauty of it, is that I can let my daughter get anything she wants from me because I'm letting her, not because she controls me. That's the big difference. Okay? So women, and you're going to learn that we need to see more things as negotiation opportunities, because that's what hurts us, women in leadership roles. They don't realize they can negotiate for a team. They can negotiate for resources that they don't have. They don't have a budget. They can get one. They need to negotiate for it. Just because it's not on the table doesn't mean you can't get it. It just means you haven't asked for it yet. Okay? And people will tell me all the time, women just need to ask for it, and they don't. They don't ask for things. They don't ask for raises. They don't ask for this. And then when women do ask, they're not liked because they don't ask right. That's why I'm telling you, we're kind of screwed. But it's okay because came to the right place, because you're going to learn how to do all that correctly. Now, women, we expect less. We expect less because we were never set up to expect more. And studies have shown that even as little girls, 5-year-olds, okay, they gave 5-year-olds Hershey Kisses, and boys Hershey Kisses, and they did a job, each of them, and they had to pay themselves with Hershey Kisses. The little girls paid themselves less than boys paid themselves. And the little girls paid other people more for the same job than they paid themselves. Isn't that crazy? 5-year-olds, Hershey Kisses. That tells you that we are already taught that what we do is not for money or for value. It's because we're supposed to be the nurturing. So we're conditioned in so many ways that we need to start looking at ways that we naturally are conditioned that don't work in our favor. Okay? And the most difficult part is that it is a double bind for women. And that's why I think that there's been such a struggle, because like I said, you don't learn to ask, and then you learn, and then you ask, and then you have a backlash. And studies have shown that there was a script that they gave to both men and women, the same script to ask for a raise, a salary raise. And they went into a room, and they were videotaped, and they had people watching this script, and students, and they were actors. And the man and the woman read the same words to ask for a raise, and the people that were watching said, give the man the raise, don't give it to the woman, she's a bitch. Same words. But it's because women are not supposed to ask and be so aggressive. So the thing what it comes down to is, we're going to go into a next. Ladies, it's all about impression management for you. Okay? And this is the key to negotiation for women. You need to control how people experience you. In other words, you need to make sure that people experience you in a way you want them to. If you're asking for what you want in a way that's assertive, people don't like that, you're not going to get it. People give things to people when they want to, not because they feel they have to, unless, of course, it's a power thing. So, impression management is you're able to control and monitor the way and manage the impression you're making on others. Because at the end of the day, people are going to walk away with having an experience with you, and you want to control that experience. In other words, when you walk through, I really like her. I really don't like her. I don't know what it is. But there's something about her that I don't like. Or you know what? I don't know what it is, but I feel safe with her. You get to control that, and it's all based on 3 different elements. And that is the language you use, how you frame what you're asking for, and the tone, ladies. Tone is so important. You have no idea. And let me give you an example. Words are less than 20% of what people listen to, okay? And 70 to 80% is the tone, plus body language. But if I say, I love you, and I love you, same words, different meanings. So the tone is key. So what you're going to learn here today, because you're going to have partners and you're going to do an exercise, and the greatest thing you could do for your partner is be honest with them when they share, when they're going to learn how to ask and they're going to ask you, you're going to tell them if their tone made you want to give them what they wanted. Because remember, you have to manage that experience, so you need to get control of your tone. You need to know that your tone sounds friendly and energizing and that people are going to want to give you. Because one thing we learned about women in our research is that women are tied to likability. If people don't like you, you don't get what you want. With men, you don't have to be liked. You just have to be respected. And you'll get what you want. With women, you have to be liked to get what you want. Or you don't have to be liked if you're in a powerful position where you can demand it. But how many of us, we have to get there first. So we're not going to, so we have to be liked. Well, how do you manage likability? How do you have people like you and give you what you want without being so nice and giving up? That's where we're caught. Well, this is where you use strategy. And here's what we use. Ooh,